Have you ever traversed such a path? In your nascent years, you yearned for a costly plaything, convinced that its acquisition would confer everlasting joy. In maturity, you toiled relentlessly, aspiring to professional advancement and pecuniary gain, presuming that triumph would unfailingly usher in contentment. Alas, once the coveted toy was clutched, its novelty swiftly dissipated. After attaining promotion and augmented emoluments, you found yourself confronted by exacerbated pressures and escalating anxieties. Felicity, much like an elusive mirage, seemed to recede further the more ardently you approached it. Whence this perplexing reality? Have our aspirations been misguided, or is happiness itself an elaborate fabrication? Have we become ensnared in a ceaseless chase, inadvertently forsaking the very essence of genuine contentment? Has our cerebrum been somehow co-opted, compelling us to perpetually bypass felicity? Who has purloined your intrinsic joy? Is it indeed the machinations of others, or rather our own doing? Do you dare to acknowledge that unsettling queries have likewise surfaced within the deepest recesses of your own psyche? Do you possess the fortitude to confront these disquieting verities? Should these enigmatic conundrums remain unresolved, we are assuredly destined to wander adrift amidst confusion and anguish. Yet, the elucidation is not beyond reach. Perhaps felicity has never truly been distant, rather our pursuit has merely been misdirected. To unearth the key to true contentment, one must first dismantle the cognitive confines of thought. What precise mental snares compel us to perpetually miss the embrace of happiness throughout our entire existence? Delving into the origins, this pervasive blindness to genuine happiness stems from a profound neurological phenomenon known as hedonic adaptation. This psychological concept elucidates how, upon attaining satisfaction, individuals rapidly acclimatize to the new state, subsequently diminishing their perception of pleasure from it. It's akin to how prolonged habitation in opulent surroundings inevitably blunts one's sensitivity to material possessions. Nietzsche famously posited that happiness is the realization of the will to power. Yet in our relentless quest for felicity, this inherent will to power becomes distorted into a blind, relentless pursuit of external objectives. We yearn to exert dominion over material possessions and over others, whilst inadvertently neglecting the imperative to master our own inner landscapes. Societal values further reinforce this predisposition towards outward seeking. Successful individuals are perpetually portrayed as possessing opulent conveyances, luxurious estates, and alluring consorts, thereby leading us to erroneously believe that true contentment lies solely in accumulating these conventional accoutrements of success. This predicament resembles a Sisyphean snare. We perpetually endeavor to propel the colossal boulder to the summit, only to witness its inevitable descent, repetitively engaging in a futile exertion. Schopenhauer, with prescient insight, discerned the inherent essence of human existence as suffering, with joy serving merely as a fleeting palliative. Should we define happiness as an ultimate liberation from anguish, we are irrevocably destined for disillusionment, for suffering constitutes the normative state of life, whilst happiness emerges only as an intermittent radiance. More disturbingly still, this hedonic adaptation invariably plunges us into a state of relative deprivation. We habitually engage in comparisons with those we perceive as superior, thereby fostering perpetual dissatisfaction and gnawing anxieties. Despite possessing a bounty, the discernment of others possessing more continues to elicit a profound sense of loss. This comparative inclination mimics an abysmal chasm, perpetually insatiable. Carl Jung sagely remarked, "The moment your vision becomes clear is the moment you begin to examine your soul." Yet we habitually cast our gaze outward, inadvertently neglecting the profound exigencies of our interiority. The poignant question then arises: are you content to remain subjugated by the forces of hedonic adaptation and relative deprivation? Are you willing to persevere in this arduous, exhausting chase for contentment? Or would you rather pause and fundamentally reevaluate the very definition of felicity? Doesn't elusive methodology exist that might liberate us from external structures, thereby facilitating the genuine attainment of inner tranquility and profound joy? Are you truly prepared to confront this more profound stratum of reality? This pervasive societal misjudgment of happiness profoundly impacts our social architecture. The ascendance of consumerist culture enables merchants to leverage our proclivity for hedonic adaptation and relative deprivation, perpetually manufacturing novel desires and seducing us into acquiring an ever-increasing array of commodities, as if the sole pathway to contentment and fulfillment lies solely in the possession of the latest smartphone model or the most fashionable attire. Our pedagogical system, too, imperceptibly exacerbates this pervasive anxiety. From their formative years, children are indoctrinated with the imperative to win at the starting line, compelled to enroll in a multitude of supplementary courses and to relentlessly pursue academic excellence for admission to prestigious universities. They are systematically deprived of the fundamental right to play and to engage in uninhibited exploration, thereby losing their innate ardor for life under the relentless yoke of competitive pressure. Our entire societal edifice is predicated upon a fervent pursuit of efficiency and utilitarian gain, concomitantly neglecting the intrinsic requisites of human nature and the vital nourishment of emotional well-being. Psychologists have discerned that individuals subjected to prolonged high-pressure environments exhibit a heightened susceptibility to psychological afflictions such as anxiety and depression. Despite our society's burgeoning affluence, the collective sense of well-being has not only failed to commensurately ascend, but has paradoxically demonstrated a discernible decline. Does this not warrant profound introspection? When we predicate happiness solely on material foundations, we are irrevocably precluded from attaining authentic contentment, for material possessions are finite, whereas desires are boundless. Cognitive biases further engender erroneous perceptions concerning happiness. We tend to selectively recall life's felicitous moments, inadvertently overlooking painful experiences. This rose-tinted retrospection causes us to overestimate past contentment whilst underestimating present well-being. Concurrently, we are prone to the survivorship bias, observing only the dazzling public facade of successful individuals, yet neglecting the arduous effort and profound sacrifices underpinning their achievements. This cultivates exaggerated expectations for happiness, rendering us more susceptible to disillusionment. More disturbingly still, the media's idealized portrayal of perfection in happiness exacerbates our anxieties. Social media platforms are inundated with ubiquitous displays of affectionate performances and felicitous exhibitions, leading us to erroneously conclude that the lives of others are perpetually more idyllic than our own. We become ensnared in a comparison trap, where the more we compare, the less contentment we experience. Have you too succumbed to the allure of social media, losing your authentic self amidst the perfected lives of others? Have you ever masqueraded your genuine emotions in a relentless pursuit of likes and followers? Have you ever been plagued by self-doubt and anxiety stemming from your inability to conform to societal standards of success? This pervasive social anxiety and cognitive distortion, like an invisible web, inexorably binds us. If the very definition of happiness is held hostage by societal diktats and our perceptions are manipulated by the media, how then are we to reclaim sovereign control over our own well-being? Are we predestined to be mere cogs within the societal torrent, perpetually exhausting our lives in an incessant cycle of competition and comparison? Perhaps genuine contentment does not emanate from external pursuits, but rather from an internal awakening. We urgently require a cognitive revolution, a fundamental redefinition of what constitutes happiness.
This paradigm shift entails not the accumulation of more, but the embrace of less, not the relentless pursuit of perfection, but the profound acceptance of imperfection. Not external comparison with others, but an internal reconciliation with oneself. Those who have truly grasped the essence of living are invariably individuals capable of looking inward. They eschew the conventional metrics of worldly success, instead seeking inner tranquility and profound joy. They harbor no fear of solitude, but rather luxuriate in moments of introspection. They do not cling to outcomes, but instead savor the inherent delight of the process. Much like Thoreau, who, secluded by Walden Pond, embraced a life of simplicity, thereby attaining genuine spiritual liberation. Lao Tzu sagely proclaimed, "He who knows he has enough is rich." True opulence lies not in the magnitude of one's material possessions, but in the depth of one's contentment. Should we cultivate a reduction in materialistic desires and cherish the abundance already present in our lives, we shall
more readily experience felicity. Rather than chasing elusive, distant goals, it is far more prudent to attend to the subtle perfections of our immediate surroundings. A fragrant cup of coffee, an engaging colloquy with a compatriot, a convivial reunion with kinsfolk, each can serve as a wellspring of profound happiness. Instead of striving for a flawless existence, it is more judicious to embrace the imperfections of one's own being. Every individual possesses foibles and shortcomings. The paramount task is to learn to coexist harmoniously with one's imperfections. When we cease to be unduly demanding of ourselves and relinquish the relentless pursuit of perfection, we more readily experience serenity and felicity. Rather than engaging in ceaseless comparison with others, it is more beneficial to meticulously focus on one's personal evolution. Each individual possesses a unique rhythm and trajectory. The crucial imperative is to discern one's authentic life path and to traverse it with unwavering resolve. Those who genuinely command their own destinies are invariably adept at living in the present moment. They refuse to languish in the past or to indulge in future fantasies. Instead, they anchor themselves firmly in each fleeting instant before them. They apprehend the inherent beauty of life with their whole being, embracing its myriad challenges with an ardor born of love. Much like Chris Gardner in The Pursuit of Happiness, who, even when confronted with monumental adversities, sustained an unyielding optimism and proactive disposition, ultimately realizing his profound aspirations. Hence, do you consent to embark upon this cognitive revolution? Are you willing to dismantle the confining strictures of conventional thought and fundamentally redefine the essence of contentment? Are you prepared to relinquish external pursuits and heed the resonant whispers of your inner self? Genuine felicity lies ensconced within the deepest recesses of your being, patiently awaiting your discovery, anticipating your active choice, and longing for your creative manifestation. Now, let us unveil that most profound and resonant ultimate insight. Happiness is not a terminal destination, but rather an active choice. It is not an elusive entity to be arduously pursued and eventually attained, but an integral way of being that is immediately accessible to you in the present moment. You do not merely exist for happiness. Rather, you embark through life with happiness as your constant companion. To elucidate further, happiness is not the destination of your life's journey, but rather the mode of conveyance you elect for the odyssey. You possess the agency to navigate life in a happiness-branded sports car, brimming with gratitude, contentment, and joy, relishing the passing vistas. Alternatively, you could choose to traverse the path in a suffering-branded jalopy, laden with anxiety, lamentation, and ceaseless comparison, perpetually bemoaning the uneven terrain. The profound truth that has persistently eluded your perception is this: happiness itself constitutes a profound capacity, the capacity for choice. It is the inherent faculty to discern beauty and experience joy, regardless of one's circumstances. Once you cultivate and possess this intrinsic ability, you will no longer be subjugated by external material pursuits, nor will you be swayed by the judgments and appraisals of others. Furthermore, the genesis of this formidable capacity lies not in external bestowal, but in profound internal cultivation. It necessitates a continuous process of learning, introspection, and evolution, an unceasing transcendence of your cognitive limitations, and a relentless elevation of your spiritual consciousness. It demands that you behave as a meticulous gardener, assiduously tending to your inner sanctuary, eradicating intrusive weeds, scattering life-giving sunshine, and allowing the blossoms of felicity to unfurl in unrestrained splendor. Life, akin to a ceaselessly flowing river, is replete with unpredictable currents and formidable challenges. You cannot stem the ebb and flow of its tides, but you can acquire the dexterity to ride its waves. You cannot wholly elude anguish and impediments, but you invariably possess the agency to choose your response to them. Regardless of the circumstances in which you find yourself or the trials you encounter, remember this immutable truth: you always retain the prerogative to choose happiness. Now, gently close your eyes and draw a profound breath. Sense the burgeoning tranquility and serenity within your very core. Envision yourself as already possessing this innate capacity for choosing felicity. You no longer pursue unattainable reveries. Instead, you cherish the bounty that is presently yours. You relinquish comparisons with others, focusing instead on your singular journey of personal growth. You no longer harbor trepidation towards setbacks and adversities, but rather perceive them as invaluable catalysts for evolution. Upon reopening your eyes, you will discern that the world, in its external presentation, remains unaltered, but your inner landscape has been profoundly renewed. You will perceive that contentment is not a distant, elusive prospect, but rather an intimately proximate reality. It resides within the very precincts of your heart, patiently awaiting your discovery, anticipating your active choice, and longing for your creative manifestation. Now, armed with this newly acquired understanding, re-examine the tapestry of your existence. You will find that those occurrences that once plunged you into anguish and anxiety have receded into insignificance. You will comprehend that your life is replete with boundless potentialities, awaiting your exploration and creative endeavor. You will realize that you are, indeed, the sovereign architect of your own destiny, possessing the inherent power to forge your unique happiness. Go forth then, embrace your inherent felicity, actualize your miracles, and imbue your life with resplendent vibrancy. Remember this immutable truth: happiness is not a terminal point, but an active, perpetual choice, and you timelessly retain the prerogative to choose happiness.
Now, gently close your eyes and draw a profound breath.
Sense the burgeoning tranquility and serenity within your very core. Envision yourself as already possessing this innate capacity for choosing felicity. You no longer pursue unattainable reveries. Instead, you cherish the bounty that is presently yours. You relinquish comparisons with others, focusing instead on your singular journey of personal growth. You no longer harbor trepidation towards setbacks and adversities, but rather perceive them as invaluable catalysts for evolution. Upon reopening your eyes, you will discern that the world in its external presentation remains unaltered, yet your inner landscape has been profoundly renewed. You will perceive that contentment is not a distant, elusive prospect, but rather an intimately proximate reality. It resides within the very precincts of your heart, patiently awaiting your discovery, anticipating your active choice, and longing for your creative manifestation. Now, armed with this newly acquired understanding, re-examine the tapestry of your existence. You will find that those occurrences which once plunged you into anguish and anxiety have receded into insignificance. You will comprehend that your life is replete with boundless potentialities, awaiting your exploration and creative endeavor. You will realize that you are, indeed, the sovereign architect of your own happiness, possessing the inherent power to forge your unique happiness. Go forth then, embrace your inherent felicity, actualize your miracles, and imbue your life with resplendent vibrancy. Remember this immutable truth: happiness is not a terminal point, but an active, perpetual choice. And you, timelessly, retain the prerogative to choose happiness.